For number 15, we're told to find the domain of this function and the equations of the vertical or horizontal asymptotes, if any. So for the domain, we're going to begin with the assumption that we can plug in anything for x. Anything from negative infinity to positive infinity, any real number is going to work. And then we try to figure out if there are going to be any limitations to that. And here, since this is a rational function, we know that we can't divide by 0. So any x that would make this denominator 0 is going to be excluded from our domain. And so there's two x's that are going to make this 0. If x is negative 1, then negative 1 plus 1 would be 0. The whole thing, the whole denominator would be 0, and so f of x would be undefined. So x can't equal negative 1, and it can't equal positive 2, because that would do the same thing. So our domain is going to be all real numbers from negative infinity up to negative 1, not including negative 1, and the numbers from negative 1 to 2, not including 2, and all the numbers from 2 to infinity. So this is just a long way of saying that that the domain can be any real number except negative 1 or positive 2. All right, now notice also that that these numbers are going to give us our vertical asymptotes. Since this function can't exist at x equals negative 1 or at x equals 2, that's going to be where these vertical asymptotes are. So the vertical asymptotes are going to be x equals negative 1 and x equals positive 2. All right, finally, the horizontal asymptotes. Well, there's just going to be one horizontal asymptote. Remember that the rules that we listed out, we said that if the degree on the top is smaller than the degree on the bottom, then the horizontal asymptote is going to be at y equals 0. If the degree on the top is bigger than the degree on the bottom, then there's not going to be a horizontal asymptote. And if the degrees are the same, then we look at the initial, the leading coefficients and just divide those. Here, you can see that this is in factored form, so it looks like maybe we have the same degree on the top and the bottom. But notice that if we FOILed this out, we'd get an x squared here. We've got an x, we've got two x's. And so if we multiply those together, we get x squared. So the degree on the top is smaller than the degree on the bottom, which means that our horizontal asymptote is going to be y. Our horizontal asymptote is y equals 0. And that's all they asked us to do. They didn't ask us to graph this. They just said find the domain, the vertical asymptotes, and the horizontal asymptote.